Hey everybody, Super Green Bay here. Um, I want to go on a little tangent real quick. So, with the Acolyte wrapping up and that being all done, I haven't watched since episode 4. I just don't care to watch it. Like I tried, I did. I watched the first 3 episodes. I just couldn't do it no more. I think episode 4 is where they have that cool lightsaber battle with the master or whatever. That's the last episode I watched. But anyway, so the director, of course, said women strong. Kathleen Kennedy said that too. Women strong, blah blah blah. Need more women, more woman representation. Did any of you see the early 2000s? Like movies like Underworld, Resident Evil, Elektra, Ultraviolet, like Tomb Raider were women led. And I grew up in that era and that shaped my childhood. All these women I just named in these films were my heroes. Like maybe that's just me, but genuinely, like, those movies made up my childhood. Like, whenever, like, for example, Underworld came on, I'm sitting there and I'm watching this shit. Why am I watching it? Because I love Underworld. I like it. It's one of my favorite movie franchises ever. Right? Like I said, to this day, like I would still say that like Kate Beckinsale kind of shaped my preference in women. So did Mila Jovovich. So did Jennifer Garner. So did you get what I'm saying, right? But when these people come out and say, "Oh yeah, we don't have any representation for women. There's no women representation. Women don't do women." Like, there's plenty of it. What are we talking about? I'm like, there's plenty of it. And like I said, that was the early 2000s for me. A lot of badass women in my movies, and I loved it. I loved it. Like, I grew up watching, of course, stuff like Kill Bill, Alien, Predator, Terminator, Underworld, blah blah blah. Right, I was one of those kids. It was just always on TV. Whenever it came on TV, I watched it. But to see all these badass women do these badass things in these movies really, really had me fascinated as a kid. I'm just saying. Like, I just remember having like such a strong connection to these characters. It was crazy. It was crazy. Some of these characters even made me a man because of nude scenes back then. But I just remember how happy those movies made me. And at the time, there was no such thing. Well, the terms existed, but Mary Sue, Gary Stu, like terms like that, no one cared, right? Because what you were seeing is what you were getting, a badass film that was really fun to watch. Like, I just remember like all the women in my media being likable, right? Now they're hated. And people ask, well, why is that? Why is that? They're hated because essentially it's like, okay, you're forcing a narrative that doesn't exist, saying that like women don't get enough representation, don't get this, don't get that, when that's not the case. That's not the case. So now you're forcing a false narrative into existence. And so that's why your movies suck. That's why they suck. That's why your shows suck. That's why. Straight up. Now, I have defended certain things. I do think people take the Mary Sue and women strong thing a little bit too far. For example, I said some projects you can't be mad at. Like, I firmly believe you can't be mad at She-Hulk because the show was designed to be a goofball show. It was meant to be a clown show, like a show for people to just kind of laugh at. So the show gets a pass. There's no hard story in it or anything. There's no deeper narrative there. It's just She-Hulk being She-Hulk. Like, I'm fine with that. But also, too, we have projects where, like Wakanda Forever, for example. Wakanda Forever, some people say it was a forced movie because of the situation. That can be argued, but some people argue you could have recasted Chadwick Boseman. You could have recasted T'Challa. We would have been fine. True, fair enough. I do think they could have just waited because you can tell Wakanda Forever probably would have been a lot better if they didn't have to switch the entire story out mid-production. But to be fair, that is a storyline in the comic books that you guys can go look up where Shuri takes over when T'Challa gets sick and she does have a conflict with Namor. That is a actual story. Go check it out. I think the comics does a way better version than the movie did. The movie, to me, like, it's a good movie, but I didn't leave feeling like I felt after the first Black Panther movie. Some people say that's the first movie effect, which is where, since it's the first of its kind, it's always going to be the best. And I just think the Wakanda Forever didn't hit as hard. And the problem was not that Cherie was a bad character, just because you can tell, like, okay, this really shouldn't exist right now. But I still like the film though. But there's plenty of movies and shows where where the female characters are written correctly. Put it like this: this is gonna make you guys laugh. Any woman, any woman who is in anything from the Defender Saga is legit one of the best written characters I've seen in TV. Jessica Jones, who doesn't love Christian Ritter as Jessica Jones? That's one of the best performances of a superhero like ever. I don't care what people say. Deborah Ann Wool as Karen Page. Who doesn't like her? Like, it's hard not to like her, right? Rosario Dawson as Claire. Like, Claire was such a fun character. It's like all the women that showed up in those shows I liked. Like, people talked a lot of shit about Iron Fist, for example, right? Characters were dull, blah blah blah. Story was just lame, or whatever. Okay, season 1 was kind of slow. Season 2 of Iron Fist, though, you guys know who the MVP of season 2 of Iron Fist is? And y'all gonna laugh when y'all find out who this is, because it's funny because you don't think about it. So you guys remember Typhoid Mary Walker? Yeah, she's the whole reason why I kept watching season 2 of Iron Fist. She's played by Alice Eve. Of course, you guys know who Alice Eve is. That's Alice Eve. But this is also Alice Eve. Yeah, I know, right? You're like, come on, bro. I'm just saying, but she was just a joy to watch, and I really hate that shit got canned, because I was having the time of my life whenever she showed up on screen, because I was like, oh, what's she gonna do next? Oh, is she gonna have another breakdown? What's gonna happen? You know, it was just so fun. But like, the women in those shows really did carry the shows. They really did. They felt needed. They felt necessary. I could say that I could say that for a lot of other projects too, but I would be here all day. There's countless examples of well-written women in your media, and you don't need to be like, not enough representation, and blah 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 blah. Instead of saying that and pushing out garbage, take your time and just write a human. Write somebody who's human, who has human struggles, who's relatable. Especially in stories where the characters are meant to be that. I'm just saying. You can't relate to somebody who's God. And even in movies, I know people argue that, well, people like Rambo and Commando, like they were unstoppable forces. No. Someone like Rambo, for example, had a lot of shit. And he was a very emotionally like fucked up character because of the situations he went through, the things he had to go through. Rambo wasn't just a blow it up Gary Stu. He had a lot of depth in him. Same thing about Barbara on the topic of Sylvester Stallone. Same thing with the Rocky. Like, who would Rocky be without Adrian? That's what I'm saying. Throughout your media, there's been plenty of women who have paved the way, who have been very successful, who stand out, and who are always just so fun to watch. It's about women in Hollywood. I'm like, a lot of women in Hollywood run it. They run it. Like, see, I have this thing where I say, if this actress is in this movie, I have to watch it. Like I have to watch it. Like, it's just, I have to watch it, right? Because they're that good on screen, and especially when they get leading roles. It's like, bro, come on. Like, I know you guys are gonna laugh at this, right? I haven't watched Game of Thrones. I watched season 1. I haven't watched anything since. Would you still watch Game of Thrones, or would Game of Thrones be the same if it didn't have Emilia Clarke in it? She, when I mean plays a character, she plays the fucking character. I'm just being honest, but I don't like that. I never loved that whole aspect of there's not enough women in our media. There's not strong women. There's not enough strong women. We need more representation, and you make garbage characters. Also, too, I'm not shitting on any actor, by the way. I'm not. Like, Acolyte maybe, but I'll say this right now. Everybody does their role really well. Like, I like Jackie. Jackie was played by Daphne King. I made a video about Daphne King like a couple days ago. It was a funny little short. I didn't realize she grew up. Like, time just flew. But I didn't know that was her until I looked at the cast credits one day. And but she was my favorite character in the series, just to get fucking bodied. But I'm just saying, like, there's definitely things out there that could be done different with our women in media. I'm just saying, like, and the bad part is they say it's men. It's men. Like, men are the reason why. Men, guess what? I'm in the video on this. Men aren't the reason why people hate these female characters. It's women. It's women. Like, we're not the reason. You are. You are. The women, the blue hairs who pray to God that, oh yeah, funny. Oh yeah, we need more characters. We need more characters. It's you. It's your fault. You're doing it. It's your fault. Because we had good female characters. But you had to go ruin that. Nowadays, if you just want to go watch like strong women in leading roles, you gotta go back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s. Because anything from like 20, I'd argue 2017 up ain't worth it. It's not. And like I said before, I defend the actresses who play these roles because they're just playing a character. But even sometimes they have some outlandish takes. Like here's another example. Daisy Ridley. I like Daisy Ridley. I think she plays Rey the way she's supposed to be written. It's just that she's such a fucking Mary Sue that everybody starts to hate Daisy Ridley when I'm like, she's actually a great actress and hasn't done anything wrong. But the bad part is though, since those movies somehow still make money, that's the only paycheck she can get. She's in other movies, yeah, but you don't give a fuck about them other movies. You don't know. So she knows that's her paycheck. So that's where she's going to go. Me straight up. Anyway, I'm in the video on that. I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to me if you haven't. I'll make plenty more videos like this, more shorts like this, blah blah blah. Anyway, we'll see you.